didn't tag y'all, which I should have, so you can possibly go over and find yours. Hey, Facebook fam, welcome on this gorgeous afternoon, evening, morning, whenever you might be tuning in. But you got three mugshots here, three gorgeous men here hanging out with you this time frame, and these are the founding men of the Pivot Conference, and so that's the text clarifies who we are and what we do, and so hey, I wanted to just say good afternoon as we here. Yes, we have a full team, and so the ladies are off today enjoying their day, and rightfully so. But we want to just talk a little bit about, the Pivot Conference. So, hey, let me introduce my cohorts in pivoting, or as we like to call ourselves, the Pivot Posse, rolling at you. So, hey, this is Greg Russell. He's coming to you from outside of Houston, Texas. Houston's so big, it's a state in its own when you think about it.
It's still Houston, man. I'm still in Houston.
Okay. I didn't know how far out you were. You could have. People you drive an hour. I'm still in Houston. Oh, yeah,
still in
right.
Houston, yeah.
And you are.
Yep.
And Todd Sterling in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, in the Boots capital city. Welcome, gentlemen.
Good evening.
As we talk about the Pivot Conference, guys, if you would just share a little bit about why you answered the call. Well, let's back up real quick. What were your first thoughts when this pandemic hit and you had to look at your business and say, hold up, whoa, so I gotta make a shift, or I gotta pivot? Just share your thoughts and how you went through that process.
Well, Howard, I'll jump in first. I'll tell you, man, it was an interesting time because literally I lost $4,000 in revenue from some of my advertising clients who pulled off of media because they didn't know.
That's monthly grant. That's not one-time hits when you talk about media. That's recurring numbers.
Right. So it was definitely one of those moments where you realize that, I'm gonna have to do something different, because if this thing is kind of consistent and there's a pandemic every other year, or, God forbid, every 6 to 8 months, what exactly are we going to be doing if a lot of times we're going to be our homes are really, not out and about. So I definitely looked at myself and Alpha Media and public relations and realized I had to pivot, and do something different. And, the good thing about the Pivot Conference is I think it's coming at the right time. There are a lot of people who are doing business online. There are a lot of people who are doing great things with business online. But then at the same time, I'm from a generation where a lot of people are still using traditional media, and a lot of my clientele still wants traditional media because they really don't understand new media. When I mean new media, Facebook, Instagram, digital media, all the things that, Howard, you and Greg are just about experts at. There's a whole world of people out here who are not even remotely in that world, and they don't want to be in that world because it's a whole learning curve, and they've been successful at what they've done, and so they don't feel they need to be in that world or want to learn to be in that world. So they rely on people like me to help them to get there. And even when I try to help them get there, they're still reticent to jump full time into online media. And what they have said to me is, I don't want to spend same thing I'm spending on my regular ad campaign on a digital or social media ad campaign. And, I think for a lot of them, they've got to realize they've got to pivot their business because that's where people are online. Some people still love terrestrial radio. A lot of people listen to Pandora and Spotify and Tidal. A lot of people, still catch a billboard. But when you go to a website, that display ad catches you before you can even get to your content. So people have to understand this is the way to reach people now. And people are looking at a lot of this stuff on their phones. And so mobile is big, and mobile is huge, and mobile is the wave of the now and the future. So if you aren't touching people at their mobile phone level, you're really, really missing out, because people carry a mobile phone around like it's their lifeline. I tell people, if I leave home without my mobile phone, I feel naked. I turn
No.
right
Hey,
around,
you turn around and go back. Come on, let's be real.
turn right around and
You turn
go
around
get
and
my
go back.
clothes and get my phone and come back out, and I'm good to go. But if I leave my phone, I'm naked, because I work in communication. So for me,
Yeah.
Howard, I think that people have to realize they got to pivot. If you're going to be a successful business, if you're going to be a person who is marketing goods and services and selling at a high level, you've got to be on some of these platforms. And at this point, I'm going to pitch it to Greg, because, in just the time we've put this conference together, I've learned 2 or 3 things from Greg Russell. This guy is the guru of all of this. And, it's been a real pleasure to learn from him. I know that he's the resource renegade. He's the resource renegade, as he calls himself. And he's already taught me 3 or 4 resources that I'd like to use and I'm using. So, Greg, you jump in and tell the folks why they should be a part of the Pivot Conference.
Hey, Todd, I appreciate that, man. Thanks for mentioning that. That means a lot. For me, when everything first shut down, I took a minute and I just paused and I was thinking, what is this really going to mean for my business? And I wasn't really sure, but I just paused for a minute. And then for me, my business, because I help other businesses do business online, I got busier, right? So because people realized, oh, I need to do these things online now. And for my existing clients, they know that they can come to me with questions and stuff like that. So I got extremely busier during the pandemic than before the pandemic. And I think, for me, understanding how digital marketing works and understanding marketing in general, I have a heart to help people succeed online. And I've always had that. And so one of the things I do is try to educate and teach people about these technologies and resources that they can use to fast track their business to success. So I've just been blessed and lucky in that area. And I just find it a peace and a joy to give back and help others and teach what I really love, which is digital marketing. And so as far as the Pivot Conference, this is a way, man, where for just a few dollars, you can come and learn so much. I mean, there's so many powerful speakers there that are doing it just like myself. I'm going to be teaching as well, and we'll be sharing some resources and some strategies. And
The renegade is on loose, huh?
That's right, man. Even one of our speakers, Kim Walsh Phillips, she has a book, right? And she's the author of the No BS Direct Response for Social Media, right? So there's other entrepreneurs, and she helps a whole lot of entrepreneurs who, like Todd said, aren't used to online media, use social media to grow their business. So there's a wealth of education and trainers that are giving their time, giving their expertise to help other people, because they know that, myself and others who put this together, we want to really help people to pivot and change and not get stuck in this situation that they're in and move their business forward.
Greg, you mentioned a young lady with the book who's a colleague of yours. One of my friends who's going to be at the conference is a young lady by the name of Mia Lamont. We grew up together here in Baton Rouge. And Mia is like the queen of branding. And, people mention branding, but people really don't know what branding is unless you're really deep into marketing. And Mia is really, really good at what she does. She really, really makes it comfortable and at a level where you don't have to stretch too far to understand how some simple things that you're doing can really help you build your brand, build your image, and grow your business. And so those are all the kind of things that are going to be at the Pivot Conference, from Facebook, Instagram, social media management, to branding and marketing, even sales, converting sales, being a better salesperson. All of those type of things are going to be in this jam-packed day where we're going to have 4 keynote speakers who are really, really experts at what they do, and then 20 workshop sessions. But the cool thing for me is to see this networking that can be done one-on-one, Howard. You know,
Yeah.
I've not been a part of something where you can network virtually. You know, I worked in radio for probably 15 plus years, and to always go to the RAB, Radio Advertising Bureau Conference, another radio and records conference on the programming side when I was a GM. But you know, a lot of people hang out in the halls instead of going to.
Well, I mean, that's one of the number one reasons, and that's, you know, when you poll why people go to that conference, you know, expert information. If they're part of an organization, it's the leader's vision, and then networking. I mean, those are the top 3 reasons people go to conference, and you'll be able to do that Saturday. You know, you're going to hear from these keynoters. I mean, I know I was talking to Lethea, and she's actually launching a brand new product, a concept, and really to help people. It's the 10X virtual blueprint. And really, what are the things that you need to do to grow your business virtually? You know, 10X. Okay, and I had somebody say, well, 10X, that's a big, bold promise. Yeah, it is. But I mean, what if it's 5X, okay? I mean, you're not crying if you get 5 times the results. I mean, I know I'm not. And so you started thinking about folks like that. And I'm looking at the list of speakers. Delano Johnson, who's was a protege of Miles Monroe, you know, personal protege of Miles Monroe, but he's really in that branding realm, but he's talking about a lot of psychology and how the world's shift. You know, he brought up a point to us, you know, and Todd, you being in radio and media, and just had a great loss in radio in Black R&B this weekend.
Pharrell.
Yeah, Pharrell, but I'm just saying several. Just thinking about, you know, also Little Richie and Betty Wright, you know, Miss Cleanup Woman. You know, we started thinking about those, but you know, all these artists like last night or this weekend, Jill and Erica Battle It Online. So there was no charge for that. So part of the mindset when somebody come back and say, okay, you need to buy a $100 ticket to Erica's physical concert now, they're gonna be like, oh, if I just saw her on free and she gave more and she chatted with me at no charge, but I'm gonna pay and all she's gonna do is wave at me from the stage. And so now there's a shift in what you got to do different to really grow your brand and drive that revenue. Greg, if you would touch on 1 or 2 of the speakers or trainers that are coming that's going to help people do that. Because I know you're going to share a lot, but you know, some of the speakers that you know and some 1 or 2 nuggets that they'll walk away with.
Well, I'll start with myself. I'm going to be sharing my consistent cash flow machine. And I think it's really, really critical, more than anything else, to understand how reoccurring revenue and passive income has to be a major key focus on your business. Because, you know, just like this pandemic things can happen to interrupt sales cycles, right? But when you set up your business and you have reoccurring revenue and passive income streams, then sometimes these things don't interrupt your business as much, right? And you still be able to, you know, have your bills covered and stuff. Like, you know, so like Todd said, you know, he lost $4,000 in monthly income. You know, that can really throw things off because, you know, everybody's not, you know, right now, a lot of people are trying to be lenient with certain bills, but as time goes on, you know, that's not going to last forever, right? And trying to get that $4,000 a month back can be a challenge. But when you set up your business to have consistent cash flow, then you won't have to worry about those big swings in income as much. So I'm going to be teaching and sharing with you my consistent cash flow machine, how to set up your business to consistently have cash flow month in and month out, without it taking a lot of effort, energy, and time from your part. And that's the key. The difference between, you know, reoccurring revenue, you may have to do something every month. Like if you know, say, hey, I got reoccurring revenue, but you have to, you know, go out and speak 3 times a month. And then what happens in a month if you don't get no bookings and you don't speak, right? You don't have that income coming in. Whereas when you have passive income, that passive income doesn't require you to go out and speak 3 times a month, right? Or go out and sell 3 websites that month, right? You have this passive income. And so a lot of times people miss what reoccurring revenue is and confuse it with what passive income is. And we show them, we make it clear to them what it is, and then we show them exactly how to set up their business and what pieces they need so that they can have a passive income stream tied into what they're already doing. So that's the consistent cash flow machine. And that's what I'm going to be sharing with everyone at the Pivot Conference.
You know, you talk about that. When I'm looking at speakers here, and as I've been blessed to interview a lot of the speakers, I think about Fran Harris talking about the psychology of selling, how to help your transaction stick, you know, where people want to refer you, but also they're not talking about changing their minds. And, you know, that's another process there that we have to think through and work through. Suzanne Hart, you know, is really going to just talk about that whole leadership principle of sales, you know, building a team. Eric Loffman, you know, Eric is going to talk about selling in this new normal, you know, because it's a different cycle now, and it's a different season. And so that's just on the sales realm, you know, as I look down here, I think Tech Tools, we got Darren Adams coming on board and really talking about just helping you cement those ideas that Greg was sharing about how do you almost set it and forget it. You can't completely set it and forget it, but you can almost set it and forget it. And that's a lot better than just having to go get it. You know, that's where you want to be at, is setting it and then forgetting it.
That sounds like a rap song, Howard.
Hey man, hey, speaking of that, well, we got a DJ on. Hey, we got a DJ on, Steve. We get it. Say it, get it. Pivot. Hey. Hey, you know it's been a long day when you got tired and Howard talking about what's rap songs gonna be.
We are not rappers, but we are sellers. The one thing that I know about Howard White is that he's built his business because he has great relationships. He knows how to sell. And I was a sales guy in radio. I was a general manager for 5 years, and now I've got Alpha Media and Public Relations. And if I'm not selling services, the Sterling family doesn't eat. So I think we can help people at the Pivot Conference this coming Saturday. But you got to come in with a mind open for learning, and you also got to look at possibly bringing some of your team members, folks that you know handle these things for your business, your organization, so that they can learn and be impacted by this powerful day of learning.
Well, you know, I tell you one way to do that with your posse, and we'll call it your pivot posse. So identify your pivot posse. And, you know, if you're listening to this broadcast and you can inbox me, you and 2 other people, you and 3 other people, I'm gonna give you 2 tickets. So the other 2 got to buy them. So y'all can split that up, but they're only $20. Okay. And so that could be your pivot posse. And literally each workshop session, you guys sit and say, okay, hey, I'm going to go to this one. You go to that one. I'm going to go to this one. And then you come back and compare notes, and you're all learning. And then if you really want to just consume it afterwards, because it really takes 5 to 6 times going through information for us slow people like Howard White going through stuff to consume it. You can upgrade to VIP, meaning you will get access to all the recordings of all the trainings. And so you're able to go back through and literally work through this here as you pursue, because, you know, the environment is opening back up. The economy is opening back up. So now you got to have that plan in place, but you need to have a playbook that you can run out there and persist and pursue with it. You know, so I challenge you to go over to thepivotconference.com. That's thepivotconference.com and claim your ticket. So, and identify your pivot posse. Who's your pivot posse? Who's going to go out and pivot with you? You know, who you're going to run this race with. It's a lot more fun. Plus, it helps you when you can bounce ideas off others. I mean, that's the key thing. You know, Greg, you know, if you would share that, because, you've been working from home a long time, and, you know, how do you develop that virtual team that can help you grow, man? I mean, that's something a lot of people struggle with.
I think that it's all about relationships. You know, it's all about relationships. You know, somebody you know right now knows someone who could turn your business around with the flip of a switch. Someone you know right now has a connection that can take your business and make it 4x, 5x right now. But you have to, one, be aware of, and I be aware of the fact that you already know someone who knows someone, right? Like this whole world, we're all only 6 connections apart. And even you can see this fact in your Facebook friends. Like, just go look at if someone send you a friend request, before you accept them as a friend, you can look and see how many friends you have in common. Because sometimes we get friend requests from people we don't really know, like you don't recognize the name. But if you click on how many mutual friends you have, yeah, you can see that that they know people who you do know. So we're only separated by 6 degrees of separation, and you have to be aware of that. The people you already know, without you doing anything else, without you spending any money, someone knows someone who can help you turn your business around right now. So one, you have to be aware of that, and then you have to be open enough to ask, hey, do you know anyone who can help me with this? Do you know anyone who can help me with that? I mean, I got a Facebook Messenger from someone I haven't heard in about 8 years yesterday, and they was looking for someone who could do stuff with Zapier, right? And they thought of me. Great, I love that. And we think of technology, think of me. And they was like, hey, Greg usually knows something, and it's not the thing I knew, but I knew someone who is amazing at Zapier, however you pronounce it. And I made that connection, and then we're off to the races. So like I said, we all know someone who can help. You just have to be willing to ask. So when it comes to finding your team, I would start there. Like, just start there. Start asking people, who do you know who can help you with X? And be smart enough to realize that, you can't do everything yourself, right? Or you can't be good at doing everything at yourself. So understand that are areas that it may be better for someone else to do certain parts of your business that they may have a passion to do, and that may be a struggle for you. So be honest with yourself about the things that you can control and that you like to do, and be willing to seek help from others on the areas that you may not like to do but could get help with, and someone else could do it better and benefit your business. So just be open to that. Realize that people are out there, just have to ask for help.
No, Greg, you're absolutely right. And that's part of this whole pivot process, but you got to be clear on where you want to go and what you're pivoting around. And so, that is something that you'll get some help and get some clarity on here at the Pivot Conference. And what I mean by that is the person that reached out to Greg about Zapier, tomato, it literally, they had an idea where they wanted to go. So they started going through old school Rolodex, new school through their phone, or as Greg says, social media. Hey, am I friends over here in LinkedIn? Find people that, you're connected. And typically it's about, I think they've done shrunk, that's old school, 6 degrees of separation. I think it's about 2 or 3 really. When you really get focused, you can 2 right phone calls, the 2 right emails, and you found somebody that can help you with something. And a lot of these people are going to be there at the Pivot Conferences. Todd, you talked about that one-to-one. You've experienced the one-to-one networking on the platform we're utilizing. Share one, just your first thoughts when you hit that one-to-one networking.
Well, again, when you are in a Zoom meeting or you are on a GoToMeeting call or those platforms, usually it's the screens, and whoever's talking is the large screen, and you may have the chat option to communicate amongst yourselves outside of the platform on screen. But with the Pivot Conference, you literally can go and meet with someone that you happen to see was in the same room as you, and have conversation about their business and what they're doing, and your business and what you're doing, and network, make connections. And so one thing about the Pivot Conference, you're going to learn, and you're going to really, really have an impactful day in learning all the things that we've brought to the table. But if you don't come away from the Pivot Conference with some resources and some possible business and some new network members, shame on you, because it's all set up for you to do all that. So I think it's going to be a really, really interesting day, in that this virtual conference is unlike anything I've seen. And I've been to many, many conferences. And so it's got some of that same feel. We'll have vendor booths where you can actually go in and see someone like a Greg Russell and learn about his product and all the things that he'll sell. You can see some of the other people who have vendor booths at the conference and have some conversation about their products, and talk to that person about Zappia, like Howard and Greg were just talking about. Talk to that person about Floxy or some other new platform. All these new digital platforms have names that people aren't familiar with. And, what does that mean? Why do they call it that? A lot of people have those questions. And in my world, no question is a bad question. And so I encourage you to come to the Pivot Conference with a pad and pen, and be willing to take some notes, learn, make some connections, and grow yourself as well as grow your business.
Definitely. So, as we wrap up here, guys, if you want to leave one last thought each with the audience of why they should go ahead and just click the button above or below. I don't know where they're watching this at, one of the ways, or just simply type in THE pivotconference.com, thepivotconference.com. So if you guys would share just one reason why they should do that now, don't wait, go ahead and register and literally hop on in to the Pivot.
I'll go first because I'm sure you'll have something dynamic to say. I want people to come because Alpha Media needs new customers, straight up. And we want to be able to help you to do some of your marketing services and help you to advertise your product in an efficient and as well as economical way. And so I definitely want to be able to see some people, help some people. I'm also excited to see our 4 keynote speakers and see our 20 workshop presenters as they talk about their unique businesses and how they go about doing things. So, one thing about it, if you come into this kind of opportunity with an open mind, you're going to leave chock full with a lot of ideas and a lot of great ways to grow your business and learn how to do things online. So I encourage you to get a ticket, invite people in your network, whether it be your church, whether it be your fraternity or your sorority. If you're a part of a nonprofit organization, of course, if you're for profit, all of those qualify because all of these skills are being used in all of those areas. So come, learn, and have a great day with us. Greg?
Hey, I think someone should come to the Pivot Conference to have a good time. I'm planning to have a good time. I'm planning to enjoy myself. I'm planning to learn a lot. I'm actually going to be networking myself. So I plan to get customers because I don't know about you guys, but anytime you get people together who are generally positive people who want to learn and help each other, it may be a challenge getting them together, but once you do, it's like, it's hard to get them to go away. And that same thing is going to happen at the Pivot Conference because you have sessions where you can hang out and talk with people. And so I think that when people come together and they start talking about the things that they've learned in some of these sessions and from these speakers, and they start sharing about their business and they start connecting with other people and talking about that person's business, the natural way that a conference happens will just happen online. And everyone that has experienced it so far comments about exactly how they didn't really understand it, but now they do, and how fun it was. So I'm planning to come and have a good time. Someone else, I believe, should come, learn a lot, have a good time, network with others, and they will be thankful that they showed up at the Pivot Conference.
Gentlemen, thanks a lot for sharing that information. And I'm just going to wrap it like this. Hey, grab your posse, get your pivot pad and your pivot pen, and just pull up to your desk on Saturday, May the 16th. and literally spend a day of consuming some great information and refining the plans that you already have. Because see, that's what's going to happen is, I challenge you this week, begin to really think about, hey, as the economy opens back up, or commerce starts to happening, hey, what are your plans and what are you going to pursue? And if you have that down and captured, I guarantee you're going to hear some things that's going to sharpen that. I mean, and so then on the next Monday, on the 18th, when you launch out there, when you reach out, you're going to be a different person. That is why you should come to the Pivot Conference. To me, that is the reason. That's why, I had an idea of a Pivot Summit, and then I met with Greg, Mr. Resource Renegade, R&R guy, and he literally said, Howard, forget the summit. Let's do a conference. One day, everybody there, let people eat where they want to eat, let people consume what they want to consume. Just don't force anything down people's throat. If I don't want to hang out, I go to the coffee shop. Yes, there is a coffee shop. Hey, if you got a coffee shop and you want to sponsor it, hey, we can talk about that. So just hit us up too. We can brand it. See, and that's the beautiful part. Now, I forgot to talk about the trade shows. We'll have vendors, and the speakers will have trade booths. So literally, you'll be able to go and get additional information, just like if you were at a convention center. You go by their booth and talk with them, sit down with them and talk one-to-one or one-to-some, and just consume even more knowledge and possibly, work some things out of how you can work with them, how they could work with you. And so that is the beautiful part. I think the guys say, Todd said, hey, new business. Greg said, hey, when people come together, it's hard to get them leave. You're gonna be like that. I mean, you're gonna be calling us, say, hey man, can y'all turn the lights back on? It's gonna be 6:30, 7 o'clock in the evening, Central Time. And y'all gonna be saying, hey, can y'all turn the lights back on in here? We're not ready to leave yet. And that is the atmosphere of the Pivot Conference. And so we're gonna have a great time with it. So I challenge you to go and register now. Register now, not tomorrow, now. NOW. And with that said, hey, I want to wish all the mothers out there a happy Mother's Day, but more importantly, you ladies take care of us the whole year. So every day is your day in my eyes, and treat the mothers special in your life, and definitely that I plan to do today and every day that ends in Y. With that said, as always, go out and be the best you possible, because guess what? Everybody else is taken. If you try to be anybody else, you can only be what? Second best. And the view sure don't change when you're on the backside of others. Hey, well, take care. God bless. And worst case, we're going to see you at the Pivot Conference. That's the worst case. Otherwise, I'll see you later this week.